sponsor is.
Norman, I had 10 to 15 minutes. And I do read every word. But this first page here is the first meeting of Narcotics Anonymous in October the 5th, 1953, over by the warehouse, the lumber yard. And this is the list of the names of the people that were there. For some reason, I like to collect stuff. I'll get to the sponsorship in a minute. And the reason for that is I didn't start sponsoring anybody in Narcotics Anonymous until 11 years ago. Too self-centered, too selfish, and I didn't believe that I would be responsible for another human's life. And that's sponsorship's all about, in one respect. The guy that carried the message to me is this guy, this picture right here, a guy named Jack Way. You've heard his name several times here tonight. The picture underneath it is a guy named Chuck Skinner. He was the first one that gave me an assignment. I didn't want it. I didn't go there to get it, but he told me I was going to do it, and I said, yes, sir. That was in 1968, going to the fire camp out in Bishop, California, which I did not even know where Bishop, California was. But I went, because, when you're asked to do something, you go. And it's only 390 some miles from where I was living at, one way. This page right here is a page that has 1, 2, 3, 4. And above it, it says only 4 meetings in Narcotics Anonymous in the whole world. There was only 4 when I got here. I don't know if you can comprehend that of today versus as you've heard everybody talk, but it blows me away when I stand back and I go to a meeting or somebody asks me to go speak, and God, I'm already halfway throughout the whole year of books. There's that many meetings. I mean, it's just unbelievable. I mean, just Iran itself has 16,000 meetings, I believe it is, with 600,000 NA members. It's one of the fastest growing countries in the world for Narcotics Anonymous. And it has a lot to do with the board service members like ourselves that go all over the place. One gentleman here that I know of that does a lot of traveling, and I would never be able to keep up. That's the gentleman that has all those archives back there. Just got back from Africa, India, everywhere. And you've heard about the growth. In here I have directories going back to the first one, like I showed you, and then the second, the third. Then as you're building up, 4 and then 5, and this is between 1953 to about 1963. And then after 1963, people like myself, and you've heard it, Mel, Carl Baggins, one, Ed, and later on, I say this later on, Jack and the other guys, they started. Yes, Cry Help was a big help. Impact was a big help. Ed's program was a big help. But I want to say I kind of feel as though that I was a little bit of a help. But getting to the topic I was asked to speak on, sponsorship. I sponsor a bunch of great guys. And I know, I think they know it. If they don't, there's a bunch of them that are here. I want to let them know right now. They've saved my life many, many times over these last 11 years. I've been very, very fortunate to have these type of men who are warriors, who are people with integrity, love. They teach me a lot of hope. They teach me how to surrender, ongoing. Even just sitting right there, my head was tripping, you know, because I'm really self-centered at times, and my head can get, it gets to talking to me, and of course I got to call on my Creator and get rid of it, and let something else come in. But anyhow, I'm getting ready to go on a trip. A week from today, I'm going to already be on a Navajo reservation at a Sundance ceremony with some of the guys that and some of the chiefs that I know. That even two of them, one of those chiefs went to his first NA convention in New Mexico, and it just blew him away to see that many addicts gathered together in the name of the Creator, whatever your Creator's name is. And this is what's been given to me, and it's really up to me how I'm going to use it. And that's the same way as being sponsorship. You know, I believe in the circle, I believe in the center, I believe that my Creator introduced me to NA, NA introduced me to my Creator. I also believe in going down that center is my sponsor, is my home group, service. Now NA has a lot to be said in between all of that, but my home group, my family, and in my circle, in my basket, there's a gate right here. I try to stay out of everybody's drama. I don't need your drama. I don't need my drama. And I could create some drama a lot, especially in my house because I live alone. You know, I could walk from one room to the next, and you know, I have to open up that gate and let it out. Come on, out, you know. But you know, it's amazing how many years I missed of not being a sponsor. I missed a lot of years.
Sorry about that, because this is my dream. I've been trying to put this program to make this movie sell. Indiana Joe, are you around here somewhere? Would you come up here? And I'm sorry you only got 20 minutes instead of a half hour. Some people don't understand English very well. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. My name is Joe. I'm straight from Covert Attic, a.k.a. Indiana Joe, because I'm from Indiana. So anyway, first of all, happy birthday, Ed. Ed is truly a dear, dear friend. We talk a lot. He's told me a lot about the history of NA. I don't know that anybody read the mission statement that we have for the NA History Gypsies. I'll read it real quick here. Oops. There it is. To the NA History Gypsies Project, to educate, foster, respect, to educate, foster, respect, and a love for the rich history of the Narcotics Anonymous Worldwide Fellowship. May we convey the original essence of recovery from our founder, Jimmy Kinnon, and our earliest members. May we carry the humility, vigilance, unity, experience, strength, hope, and unconditional love to all Narcotics Anonymous members, and most of all, to the suffering newcomer. We shall never forget when we do recover. So, anyway, yeah, this is, you know, incomprehensible to stand here and see the people I'm seeing out here. And, you know, you get to California, especially Southern California, I mean, the clean time's through the roof. And, you know, we joke sometimes, we say like in LA, you know, the 20 is the 30 and the 30 is the 40. And there's so many people, got clean in the early 70s. We have so many people hitting 40 now. So what Ed wanted me to talk about is some of these travels, what's going on in NA around the world, these kind of things like that. Oh yeah, I did want to give a hand to the staff, because we weren't exactly as organized as we probably should have been. They busted their butts for us. I wanted to give a hand to Zach and Heather and Patty out there in the hot sun, helping us raise funds for this project. Sylvia Magdaleno with 52 years, the most teen-time lady in the fellowship. Steve Weiss with 48. James Drinkwater with, what's he now? I think he's about 46. And Sally, who couldn't make it here, who's going to be 44 here pretty soon. They all said to tell you hello. And there's a guy that actually came to NA at like 56. And he's still alive, and he said hello. His name is Russ Counts. So that's some really cool stuff. So anyway, about this project, you know, we tried a lot of things. You know, we tried to go to areas and groups and get motions and, you know, have a renovation of the history and some full-time staff member at NAWS and things like that, and just, you know, get something like a motion to the conference floor to update our archives and all this. Tried a lot of different things. Because that's the only way we could get funded is if it, you know, comes from the groups. And that just never happened. We tried and tried. And so over and over again, we'd get blessings from groups and regions and the WSO and the board and everybody. You know, it's like, great, we're doing it. And so we're doing it, you know, just like what Gene was saying earlier. So yeah, I'm a guy that came around a long time ago, actually in '73. I put 7 years together, and I went back out for like 19 years. And I came from kind of the, I don't know, just some real bad areas of around South Bend, Indiana. And so I'm really in awe. You know, I moved to Oregon and getting to travel and do these kind of things like that. So yeah, in the last several years, you know, especially with Facebook, I mean, I like to stay under the radar, but now everybody knows, you know, and that's like, we put all these pictures and stuff like that. But it's been really an honor, because I love the history of NA, but I love to help the new struggling NAs, you know, in these little countries where they have a brand new NA and they don't have literature. And so when I go, I'm going there for a very good reason. I'm not just going there to sightsee. I get very involved. And I've worked steps with people on Skype all over the world, these kind of things like that, and finally met them after years, so that's been really cool. And so I'll tell you a few stories about that. Matter of fact, in the last 4 years, according to whatever data we can compile, NA has grown 64% more outside of America than inside of America. That's never ever happened. We now have meetings in 131 countries. We have 63,000 meetings a week, and that's just registered groups. There's places that, you know, obviously don't have their group registered. So yeah, in the last several years I've been to, well, you know, it started out with Indiana, then it was the Midwest, then it was America, and it just kept growing and growing and growing. And yeah, so Canada, Mexico, India, Amsterdam, Nepal, Thailand, Turkey, Japan, Russia, Bangladesh, Zanzibar, and Tanzania, and Africa, and hopefully this August I'm going to Bulgaria and Moldova and Romania. Romania had one meeting and a meeting died, and I have some friends there. We're going to try to get that going again. Bulgaria has 2 meetings that are struggling, and Moldova is going to have their first little convention. And these conventions that I've been to, 50 people, 60 people. And I always tell people, if you have a little money, a little time, you know, you have a little vacation time or something, look up like a convention in Hungary or Poland or somewhere like that in Nepal and go, because it's really an amazing experience. So I'm going to tell you some stories. So in Turkey, they have 20 meetings after 20 years of NA, and a lot of addicts. And so I was wondering about that, and I knew some people there, and I was like, what's going on? And they said, well, we do public relations, but there's something that's not working. So we did a little, kind of like a little public relations, and there was a few doctors there and a few professionals, you know, non-addicts. And they said, well, we don't need NA here because we don't have that many addicts. And if we do, we have a program, we have our own programs. So these are the kind of things that you have to deal with. But NA is still flourishing there, but it's been really a lot of challenges. the thing is that everywhere in the world, no matter what religion, no matter what culture, no matter what government, no matter what, NA works. But the main thing is to get that literature translated, because without the literature, it's very difficult. And translating is a big expense to us, and we like the local members to do it. And a lot of times they do it. And when I was in Nepal, we were translating the basic text. And they would say things like, what does life on life terms mean? Because truly the basic text is very American, very American words and things like that. So, he'd explain it, and then they would work feverishly at it, and they would translate. They're just so much full of energy. So that happened in Turkey, but now Turkey's doing a lot better. Japan was very interesting. Japan is kind of a stressful society. There's a lot of hyperactivity there, and working. And so when I got to the convention, it was such a beautiful thing because they could relax. And in Japan, it's all about saving space because it's very crowded. And you go into a hotel room and things fold out into 3 or 4 things, stuff like that. The semi-trucks are small, things like that. But it was so beautiful because the culture is all about honor and respect. And that's something I see really everywhere. Like mentorship and sponsorship, outside of Western countries. Service. Understanding something is given for free and it's a gift and you take care of it. Things like unity, things like love. It's just phenomenal, and I know we have that in America, but on the other hand, maybe we're getting a little spoiled, maybe we're an entitlement society or something like that. So what I've seen in some of these other countries is very inspiring, very, very inspiring what to see, and incredible challenges and adversity, which we had in our beginning, but in some of these countries, some of it's even harder because of some of the government things that happen. So I went to Russia, and I grew up during the Bay of Pigs, and Russia is a bleak, dark, dismal place, and dismal people, and they hate Americans, and this stuff, all the politics and everything like that. I get over there and it couldn't have been farther from the truth. They had a convention, I don't know, maybe 500 people. They'd been taking things like 6-day train rides from one end of Russia to the other side to start meetings, because Russia's 3 Americans wide. That's how big Russia is. It's that they got 8 time zones, and they would take 6-day train rides to start meetings. But anyway, so their convention committee was about 120 people, and they had a waiting list. And they had people walking around with a big 7 on their t-shirt, and it was 7th tradition. And they just created service positions for people because they wanted to give back so much. It was unbelievable. And when they took me to the airport, they had like 2 carloads. And they were all crying, and they were saying, don't leave, we need you. Because see, I was representing where NA started in America, but NA is not American. I told them that. You guys can do that. We plant the seed, that's all we do. You can do it now. That's all we're doing. It's just about the message. But it was just a big tear fest. I mean, it was like, you're standing there and they're like, don't leave. Don't leave. I'm like, geez, So I went to Africa. And it's a long story, but Africa, East Africa is one of the places where there's not NA. From Cairo down to about Johannesburg, and in China too. Some of the things that happened in China was a lot of Americans and Europeans were running the meetings, not the Chinese, and there was problems with that. It wouldn't grow. They had trouble with the white key tag, because white means death in China. And finally, they translated the white key tag to death to the disease of addiction, so now there's a Chinese white key tag. These are the kind of things that happen. But when I heard about what was happening in Africa, and things had died, and so I got invited. How this all happens is a lot of planning, and get email alerts on flights, because my expenses aren't paid very much. In America, so, but these countries, I just get myself there somehow, and it takes a lot of planning and things like that. And I don't have a girlfriend anymore, so I don't have to worry about that either. So I get over there, and it's like, you have to like dummy down, like you're talking about having a workshop or talking about steps or sponsorship or something like that. It's like, well, they have to survive today and eat. And there's no infrastructure, and there's no internet. And so you're talking about, let's have a service workshop. It's like, that sounds simple, but it's not simple there. And you see some incredible suffering, but you see, everywhere I went, everywhere, no matter what religion or culture or anything, everybody's treated me with respect, curiosity. They usually ask me about Disneyland and Hollywood. Once in a while they ask me about Obama. But everybody wants the same thing. Everybody wants acceptance, they want love, they want work, and they feel the same way as, you know, what the media portrays about their political leaders and their religious leaders. It's just like, it's not like the media portrays. I've never felt threatened or anything like that. So I get over there, and I'm literally in a hut, and we're having a meeting, and it was unbelievable. You know, because they had the 12 steps of NA on their hut walls from about 10 years ago. So they had these little recovery huts, and they were still doing what they could, but they had no leadership, and they were still trying to stay clean. The per capita addiction rate in some of these countries is unbelievable. It's like Zanzibar, Africa, East Africa was something like 75% of every man from 25 to 45 years old. And then, of course, everybody asks what drugs do they use there, and I'm like, duh. I mean, once in a while you come across something really you've never heard of, but... So I go in this hut, and we're there for the last day, and we've done a lot of things. We've given them everything we can give, and we've, you know, and Nas, a couple of people came, and there was Swahili literature. They'd never seen key tags or anything like that. And I'm leaving, and I have my backpack, and I have some local meeting schedules. I live in Oregon meeting schedules. And the guy's looking over my shoulder, he's pointing at the meeting schedules, and he wants them. And I had 4 of them. And I said, okay, I gave, and I was like, these people are never coming to America. I mean, they're lucky if they get out of their village. That's the reality. That is the reality. I've been in countries that make $1 a day, $1.25 a day. And he wanted those meeting schedules, and then I didn't see him, and I thought, he doesn't know how to Swahili. They're not coming to Oregon, but, you know. The next day, we're saying our goodbyes, we're in a hut, we're having a meeting, and I was in the men's house. And 2 of the schedules were up on the wall, and they were taped up there. And I said to a translator, I said, why does he have those up there? And the guy, the member, he knew what I was saying. And he pointed at the NA logo on the meeting schedule for the Southern Oregon area of the NA. He pointed at it, and he goes like this. So that's why he wanted that schedule. So then we went to the woman's house. Getting ready to leave the woman's house. On the wall is the other 2 schedules. That meant everything to them. I'll tell you about Bangladesh. So Bangladesh is the size of Oregon, but half of America, 142 million people. They got 20 meetings in the whole country. They would take me all over the place. So they just take me in a room, and they just say, talk. And I'd do 2 sentences, translate, 2 sentences, translate. And they have treatment centers there. And they had a little convention. They had this one thing that was called a prayer vigil. I didn't know what it was. I thought it was maybe something with their religion or something like that. Going way out in the middle of nowhere on rickshaws and everything. And we get out there, and they got an NA banner, and they're having an NA picnic. And with NA, I mean, not something they created in Bangladesh. So when I was there, they had a little convention, and the most clean time was about 5 years. The clean time countdown went on for about 2.5 hours. Because they just, I was so tired from dancing, they just went nuts, dancing and celebrating and dancing and celebrating. And they would do things like, they would just, you know, I had pictures of Jimmy K, I'd take my history and I'd do whatever I can, and they would just say stuff like, Jimmy K, Jimmy K, Jimmy K, and they just dance around just like for hours. I was like, this is unbelievable. The most clean time is like 4 or 5 years. One of the things that happened in Bangladesh was they took me to a treatment center, and I met a guy named Brother Ron, who was a Holy Cross priest from America, from Iowa. He came to Bangladesh, he never left. By the way, you can live there for 300 a month. You can live like a king. And he started some treatment centers there, and he had a lot to do with NA starting there. And they're working on translation, which is going to strengthen it. That's really important everywhere. And so I go there, and he takes me in this room, and there's about 25 boys, 8, 9, 10 years old. These boys mob me. They'd never seen a Westerner or a white man. And I said, what's this? And he said, well, these are NA members. I said, NA members? He said, they're orphans. We picked them up. They're heroin addict orphans. on the street, and they're cleaning, and this is an NA meeting. I got a picture of that. The little boys, 19 years old. NA, they love NA. They have NA in their heart already. Same day, they take me to some other place. I walk in this room, there's about 50 guys, and in some Muslim nations, there's about 25 women in the front and 50 guys in the back. And I walk in the room, and they're looking at me, and I'm looking at them, and they're looking at me, and I'm looking at them. And I was just like, and then the guy just looks at me and says, talk. So I'm talking, here's my experience, strength, and hope. So after we got done talking, I got done talking, and there was an H-Night thing. They had a little H-Night committee, there was a couple other members too. And these women come up to me, very scared, crying. And I said, why are you crying? They said, when we leave here, our families and our culture say you're cured, you don't need NA. You don't need meetings. You don't know what we're going to do. By the time I left there, the local members had them hooked up with they have some internet, had them hooked up with phone meetings and internet meetings and do whatever they could to have meetings. So now they're having the women meetings, the women that have left that. Which is a big thing, because in some of those countries, different cultural things, it's very difficult for people to do what we get to do here. I guess the main thing that I've really learned is that we've got it good. We've got it good. I mean, we complain about going across town to go to a meeting. I do. We have, I mean, there's nothing there. They don't have one pamphlet. All they have is keep coming back just for today. We love NA, the 12 steps, and that's it. Like our beginnings. But then you throw in a whole bunch of other stuff. It's not a Western nation. It used to take us over 2 hours to get to meetings in it was called Chittagong in Bangladesh. And it's just like donkeys and carts and just dust, and I was really sick when I got back. But the amount of love they have for NA. And I would sit with families, and the mothers and the fathers would give me flowers, and would be driving somewhere when we had a car, and one of the members would be, I'd be in the front seat, he'd be in the back seat, and he'd be stroking my hair like this. And it was like, because what it represents. Because it's not me, it's the message. And they felt so grateful that the message would be carried. Because these people have such pride in their country too. They love their country. There was a big argument about which kind of Bengali to have the basic text. Because, you know, somebody wanted their kind of Bengali, and the other, they wanted their kind of Bengali. It's like our native tongue, you know, blah, blah, blah. I think what I see is that what we're doing here is truly God's work. Because what we're doing is we're directly saving human lives from the scourge of the planet. I've seen firsthand how addiction is behind famine, poverty, and wars. Absolutely, directly behind it, let alone ruining your health and your business and your family. And so we're getting this highest honor to help spread this. We're changing the world in a very, very dramatic way. NA is on fire outside of America. That doesn't mean we're not on fire. But maybe we have gotten a little complacent. Could be, always a possibility. So I'm going to close with Iran, because you've probably heard a lot of stories about Iran, and it's amazing, because what's happening there we've never seen anywhere in the history of NA. To start off, in 8 years, they have 18,000 meetings. It took us 60 years to have 28,000 meetings. So there was a guy, and you might have heard some of these stories, but he'd walk about 10 miles and chain himself to a mosque every day so that he wouldn't use. His family come unchain him, and he'd start walking home, and he'd start using by the time he got home. And there was a guy that left Iran, and he came to a university in America, and he came back, and he found NA. and he happened to walk by and find that guy. And the guy said, the member said, who was clean, he said, what are you doing? He says, I'm trying to not use drugs. He said, I found something in America called Narcotics Anonymous. Those guys were significant in starting what happened in Iran. So I asked this guy, I said, so how come Iran has so much NA and so fast? And by the way, it's not a terrorist place. I mean, it's so funny when you see all the stuff on the news and politics. It's nothing like that, at least in the NA society, which is like it is everywhere. The love, the unity. I asked him, so how did this happen? And he said, we've had over 8 centuries of addiction here. America's had, what, 200 years? And he said, we've been giving our children things like opium and heroin and hashish to stop them from crying, the little babies, for nearly 8 centuries. So when NA came there, the religious leaders read the traditions and read the steps and everything like that, and they approved it all, and we're called an NGO, non-governmental organization, neutral God, everything works, everything's fine. But it's hard to get the literature in there, so they started printing their own literature. They have about 300,000 people going to a meeting a week. They have hundreds of public relations committees. They have many more public relations committees than dances or picnics or things like that. And they do it on little portable little trucks and carts, and they just go all over Iran talking about NA. And NA just keeps blowing up and blowing up and blowing up. And it's very common that when somebody gets to their 12th step, it's like we have a clean day party like today. When they get to their 12th step, they have a huge party, dancing and singing and eating all night long till the dawn. And they have meetings with whole families. They have meetings with 1,000 people out in the fields. They have people who sponsor a lot of people in a field all at once. But the thing is, they call service in Iran, they call it love in action. And I tell you, they're totally self-supporting there. The money can't come or go. They print their own literature. It's our literature, but they print it there because that can't come or go. They've already distributed over 1 million IPs. So what's happening there, they had a women's group that was getting threats from the government and some of the real, right-wing or whatever you call them, people. And they said, you can't do this, it's wrong, you can't do it. And if you keep doing it, we're going to, stone you or hang you or something like that. And so this one lady, I don't know if you ever met her, name was Simi. And so she kept having a meeting, and she sent me a picture back there in the international part of the display. And the home group just celebrated 2 years, and the government's leaving them alone, and they're doing great. They used to come in and watch the meeting and try to stop the meeting. They said the women can't have it, but now the women are recovering in Iran. So, I don't know if you ever met the delegates, the service delegates from Iran, Javed and Mahmoud. These guys are like angels. They're just unbelievable because they went into Baghdad and started meetings. And they've spread NA all over the Mideast. And so recently, they went into Afghanistan. They went into Afghanistan and they went right to the using addicts. If you go to using addicts in America, you might get shot. But in these countries, we did that too, and they never heard of NA, and they would listen, and we'd give them meeting schedules, and they would come to meetings, it was just really beautiful. They went to these guys, I got some pictures of it, and there's a picture back there where a guy is literally in the middle of using. It's in the picture. And you can see Javed is handing a Welcome to NA in Farsi IP to the guy. And he said, that night, that guy came to the meeting. And he sent me a picture of the meeting, and what the meeting was, they pulled a sheet between 2 trees, and they had the first NA meeting in Kabul, Afghanistan. Now, Kabul has 3 areas and 26 meetings. That's happened in about 1.5 years. So it's amazing. So, I know sometimes we have long discussions about hot dogs or hamburgers at the area picnic. Or we have big discussions about this or that, or is whatever. But what I am trying to convey is that there's history being made right now. Very big history. And what's happening in NA has never happened. It's just everywhere, and it's working everywhere, no matter what country, no matter what culture, no matter what challenge. These 12 steps, these 12 traditions work. They work fine. When I see that, it absolutely blows my mind. Because it's like, it couldn't possibly work in this country. It couldn't possibly work. And then I go to this meeting, and they're just talking like we talk. And they're very, very grateful for NA. So I won't keep you much longer. I just wanted to let you know that we need you, we want you, and we love you. And that's how Jimmy K's end meetings. It's very important that we try to get a big picture of what's going on here, because there's too much at stake. You know, China eradicated 8 million addicts in the 1980s. Eradicated means killed. You would go to treatment once, after that, they wouldn't see you anymore. China has meetings, East Africa, all these places. So I hope to keep doing what I'm doing because I just love it, and I want to be used to help carry this message. It's not glamorous, I'm not rich, but it's something I enjoy doing. And believe me, I remember being in an abandoned basement of a house in Gary, Indiana. That was my world. And I always joke around that I have a lifetime license suspension. I can't even drive, but I get around, you know. And so it's a real honor. It's an honor to be here with all you today. See all these friends from Los Angeles. I got to see Bob and people like that. But keep this history alive. If you're starting a new meeting tomorrow or something, take this with you. This is reality. This is not illusion. Your job's illusion. This is real. We take this with you. When you start a meeting, I don't know. I take pictures of the outside of the building, inside the meeting. I got a sign-in sheet. They're like, "What are you doing?" And you know, I'm like, 200 years from now, maybe a newcomer at Cleanham's meeting. They're going to want to know, who was here? How did this happen? What is this NA thing? So anyway, just know that you have brothers and sisters all over the world that love you so much. I get emails from people in Bhutan. They have 10 members. I'm trying to go there someday. And so many places. And gradually, they're just doing little things. And they call you sir. You keep calling you sir. Things like that. I'm like, no. But it's a big responsibility. And we have a responsibility to each other and newcomer here. Because they're watching everything we do and say. And believe me, when I go to these places, I know they're watching me very closely. And I really try to reflect the power of God, the power of this program, the power of the spiritual principles of this program. Not only there, but here too. Because that's how this works. That's what makes it attractive. That's what helps keep us clean. And that's what helps us keep this growing. Because there's a lot of people out there suffering. I think it's worse than it's ever been. Thank you for letting me share.
All right, I'm not going to talk much longer, but I'm going to say a few things. One, I've turned it over to the good Lord 3 or 4 times today. I'm rather disappointed that people had other things to do, but that's typical in NA. Most people sit on their ass in the meeting and don't think they have to do anything but show up for an hour a week, and it's all right. Bullshit. That's on that movie, too. No, you can never repay what this program giving you. If you're sitting here clean today, you can never repay. I can never repay. I'm going to tell you about 2 things about me. When I was 17, I was sentenced to electric chair. When I was 19, I went to Alcatraz for 8.5 years. What the hell am I supposed to do? Be standing here in front of you with 50 years clean? Now, God came into my life and He saved it. We need to carry the message instead of letting someone else do it. That man there goes all over the world, and we try to raise a few bucks so we can help him go. He doesn't have no money. I get $625 a month. He gets about that too. We're 81 years old. You know, it's not our responsibility. It's all of our responsibility. You walk into a meeting, you think it's $1 a night therapy. So everyone throws a bucket in the can, they think they paid their way. You can't buy this program, it's not for sale, it's free. But you can support it. You know, the Lord said 10% is His. That's what He says, that's what He tells you. 10% of what you have is mine. Get in your pocketbook and say someday, maybe I ought to give $2 or $3 more to the History Gypsies or another program of doing the things I'm not doing. If you go on the internet and you punch in reprieve/foundation, you'll hear the history of the Narcotics Anonymous. You'll also hear my life story. I'm not going to talk about my life story. I'm going to talk about a dream I had. You know, we need to make this history. We need to make this movie so someday that addict who's 20 years from now will know where we came from. That's why we did this. How about you two? Judy's got 40 some odd years. This is the husband. About 8 years ago I had a stroke and the good Lord let me live. And these guys took me to meetings for several years. They still take me to meetings.
Thank you, everyone. At this time, it's my honor to talk about Ed for a minute. I've known Ed for about 8 years since he moved to the South Coast area, and I never knew much about Narcotics Anonymous history in the past because I was after the basic text. I got clean in 1986, but I met Ed, and he didn't drive at the time, so I volunteered to drive him to meetings. So we've driven all over Southern California. And while we're driving, we have an opportunity to talk and talk and talk and talk and talk. And Ed likes to talk, and I don't mind listening while I'm driving. So Ed has taught me more about Narcotics Anonymous over the last 50 years than I've ever knew about the existed in the past. And what's more amazing about it is this gentleman's mind is he's 82 years old, but his mind is so sharp, he remembers the things from, he remembers everything from the years past, and it's so incredible of a person. And on his birthday, I called him up and said, wished him a happy birthday at 50 years clean. I go, gosh, Ed, you've almost been clean 20,000 days. I looked it up on the website calendar. He's only been clean for 18,100 some odd days, But, it's my privilege to give Ed this coin. And this coin looks really barren compared to some of the other coins that it has. It's got the letter L on it. So an L for 50 years clean. So I'd like to give Ed his coin for 50 years of celebrate his birthday.
Some of you people have heard this dream before. Some of you have heard me speak at the 60th anniversary of Narcotics Anonymous. In fact, I've spoken about NA all over the world. I've been to over 2,200 different meetings in the United States. Okay, listen to me closely because this is important. Now, some of you know that I've probably developed a little attitude today, but thank God I'm paying the guy who's making the movie and he's going to edit it out. Maybe not. Maybe people ought to hurry. my wife is also our 24th anniversary. I married on her on my NA birthday, so I never forget. Listen closely, people, because what I've got to say is important for you to remember. In close, I want to share a dream I had recently. It was a big meeting. Many of us here were there. I looked around and I saw our old friends. Pepe, Big Back, Bill Beck, Jack Whaley, Chuck Skinner, Sylvia, and her brothers, John, Ron, Hank. I saw Bill Mays, who just went and joined them. I saw Gary Mays, who just went and joined that group. The speaker of the meeting, the leader of the group, said, "I'm Jimmy Kay, and I am an addict." I looked at this great man, and I observed on his shoulder an angel. I knew that as his dear wife, his first wife, Agnes. It was Agnes who kept this family so Jimmy could rescue addicts like me. Our old sorry young daughter. Her name was Kathy. Some of you bought her book today. She's the addict's best friend, Jimmy Kay, written by her daughter. Go online and buy that book. She could use the money. She's not in too good a shape. Amazon? Okay, brother. Good book. $35 signed. Now, I think Bill W. just told me he's been trying to buy one for 2 months for $1,000 on some of the something on the internet. The guy claims I had the only signed copy in the world. No, these are all autographed copies. I had 16 of them. I sold them out in a few minutes. Okay. You should read the book, An Addict's Best Friend. You as an addict knew my father. Oh, this is a story. When she was writing this book, she called me. I lived in Arkansas then. And she said, "Ed, tell me about my father." And she was crying, and I says, "Kathy, what are you trying to tell me?" She said, "He knew you as an addict better than he knew his families, because Jimmy, the addict was first and his family was last. Don't let that happen to your family." But that's the way Jimmy K was. Thank God he was there for me, but he wasn't there for his family, and Kathy had a resentment about that for a long time, and so did his other kids. Today she understands the need because she is a sister on the program. Sitting on Jimmy's left was the speaker. When he rose to speak, I was in awe. He said, "I am the God of your understanding. Welcome home, a job well done." I hope someday I heard them words. But in NA, there's always a lesson to learn. I scanned the room and I saw an old friend. His name was Relapse. Everyone knows him. Okay? I could see it in his eyes that his heart was well. I remember the last time I saw him. I remember the sorrow in his heart. That night after the meeting, he killed himself. Should never happen to an addict in recovery. I became aware that night that it was my responsibility, your responsibility, to ask the member, the newcomer, or even the old timer, like Jimmy used to do to me, "How's your job? How's your family? Everything all right?" That way the addict knows when he needs help that someone truly cares, not just setting a meeting and going out and going home. No, the addict needs to know, because sometimes they don't know how to ask for help. Okay? And we all do this, whether it be an old timer or newcomer. They will rely on the strength of NA to give them the support and the love they need in recovery. Always remember, if you follow the steps, you can live free from drugs. That's what we came here, that's what you were promised. But it doesn't say anything about your soul. I want to know about my soul. Man has but one purpose in life. Some of you may not believe it, but it's to get right with God. That's the reason you're here. Some people have different opinions. This is mine and this is mine. If you don't understand that, I'm sorry. Talk to your sponsor. Only God can save your soul. My final wish, to never let this program take out the rooms of recovery God. They've been doing it and doing it and doing it because they don't want to embarrass anyone. They don't want to hurt anyone's feelings. Our program came from the Oxford group. It was a Christian faith group. It was a Bible. You can buy that Bible today and it will show you the steps. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's where them steps from. Jimmy Cage didn't invent them. Bill Winston didn't invent them. The good Lord gave them to people like you and me who didn't know how to clean up any other way. I became a heroin addict at 13. I went through all kinds of shit looking for him. I stayed clean out of fear for 23 years because I didn't believe in any God. It took me a long time to find him. Today he's not out there somewhere. He's not the fucking doorknob anymore, or the light bulb, or any other excuse you want to use. He's someone real and personal. He better be in here. Yeah. Don't let him take him out of our rooms. God bless you, and thank you for coming to this. I hope we accomplished something today. I'm glad some of you stayed to hear the message. Sometimes people don't remember they have to stay to see the miracle. Okay? We have to stay to see the miracle. I heard Tony speak it the other night. I was at his birthday, the newcomer with 39 years clean. I was at his birthday. We were all going to meet here the other night, but other people didn't follow directions very well. And he said, you know what he said? It made sense. I almost missed the opportunity. Don't let that happen to any one of them in here. Don't let it happen to anyone that you're sponsoring. Don't let it happen to this people. There's no need for that. We have a program of recovery. We have 12 steps that tell us how to live. I came here out of the gutter. I walked in the means. I didn't walk in the rooms of Narcotics. I crawled out of the gutter into the rooms of Narcotics Anonymous. You know, and there were people here who taught me to be a man. I didn't know what it was like to be a man. Some of the people in this room, this very room, are the ones who taught me to become a man, to be responsible. Don't let it happen. Don't let this new NA overshadow the old NA. Because the old NA is what keeps us clean. People today, they come and they think if you've been clean since 83, they say, oh, man, you are a member of NA. But if you've been clean since 63, they don't even know who the hell you are. Okay? Don't let that happen to this program. We're here to share and care and do it. Support programs like the History Gypsies. You know, so Joe can carry this message around the world. Go on the internet, we're on there. We're not violation of the traditions. I asked World Service the other night, the guy who runs it, what do you think about this movie I'm doing? He said, about time someone had got off their ass and done it. Because we have no interest, it doesn't make no money for us. We sell books. Okay? I've got nothing to sell here but his will. See, I turned my life over to him, and he's the one that put it on my heart to try to make this movie. I hope you've enjoyed what I've tried to do and been part of it. I want no praises for 50 years clean. I've got everything in here that I expected and way more. I just want to show we spread it around. There's always going to be a need. Let me tell you a little story. I love to give out chips to newcomers. That's my daily, I go to a daily meeting almost every day and I pass out chips. In 18 months, I've passed out 187 chips. 5 people stayed clean for a year. 7 died, and no one knows what happened to the rest of them. Don't let that happen to the addict that walks in the door. It's our responsibility to carry the message until he can't love himself. Be part of this program, not just taking up a chair, not putting a bucking thing. We used to put a bucking thing 35 years ago. You know? You need to help support this program. We need your help. We need your financial help to carry this message. Okay? That's all I can do for you. I hope you've enjoyed today. God bless. Thank you.
For 50 years clean. So I'd like to give in this claim for 50 years of celebration.